Hey there, everybody. Not really sure who's here yet. I could sing a song which is about me and my reflection because I'm sitting here looking at a screen with myself on it, and I'm never really sure when these things start if anybody is there or if nobody at all is there. Oh, I see one person has just arrived. One person who has just arrived, can you please make your presence known? So I will know, first of all, if you can hear me, right? And second of all, so I can not feel so lonely, right? There's always a lag with YouTube Live for those of you who don't know. Excellent. That's good to know. There's always a lag with YouTube Live between when I start and when people start appearing in the feed. So I never know if things are like not working or if things are working or what the deal is. So hello everybody. Hello to Youth Culture Forever. Although I know these really aren't your real names, right? And Steel Earth Journey, and maybe that is your real name, and Soul Cheat. So hello to all of you, right? So for those of you who aren't familiar, who've never been to one of my question and answer sessions, I prefer not to approach this as a forum where you think I'm going to answer questions about your horoscope. I prefer to approach it where you ask me general questions about Vedic astrology. And I do my best to try to answer, right? So as soon as somebody posts that first question over in the comments section, we'll get going. Pardon me. I'm just recovering from a cold these days, so I may get a little hoarse every now and then. I have my vodka here. No, I'm only kidding. It's just water. No, really, it's just water. I want to let everybody know between this coming Thursday at 11 p.m. London time. That's Thursday, the 19th of December at 11 p.m. London time. I'm offering a 10% discount on all astrological services using the discount code KNOWLEDGE, which I'll type in the chat window at the following link, which I'm typing in the chat window now as we speak. And I'll put that discount code in the window for you as well. Okay, somebody asked a question, why is Vedic better? Well, I'm never big on saying this is better or that's better. I like using Vedic myself because I find it more accurate. But, for people who like, working with, with Western astrology, that's better for them, right? So I'm not really going to answer that question, why is Vedic better? I can tell you why I like Vedic if you want to, because I find it goes, from my own perspective, I feel like it goes a little more into depth and you can get a little more of the subtleties that I haven't really been able to find myself able to get using just regular Western astrology. Yeah. So any other questions you might have about astrology, just please feel free to put them in the chat window. Pardon me. Hey, does everybody like my Christmas tree? Right? The cheap special that's back here, right? With the flashing fiber optic lights and everything. Can I talk about Bhrigu Bindu? It depends upon which aspect of Bhrigu Bindu you want me to talk about it on. I think that, with Bhrigu Bindu is the midway point between Rahu and the moon. And a lot of people call it the destiny point. I found, like if there's a Jupiter transit going over that, it can be pretty pronounced in like making like big things happen in your life. There's a Saturn transit going over it. It can do that too. I tend to use it in career assessment, but I don't just use it isolated. And I'm never big in terms of Vedic astrology, in terms of people going, oh, I'm going to use one specific thing to quickly answer a person's question about something. Because quite often it leads to a lot of inaccuracies, not Bhrigu Bindu necessarily, but just using just one thing. So that's why I'm a big fan of using several different things and seeing what direction they're all pointing in. And that's going to give you a clearer perspective in regards to things like a person's career, etc. Okay, let's see. I write short stories, and I've looked up the birth charts for some of my characters, and it works. It's cool, but how is that possible? Because they're being born in your mind at that particular period of time, and so they're going to fit that, right? It's how it works. It's how astrology works. Any other questions you might feel like asking, please feel free to answer. I'm going to adjust my microphone so it doesn't have that annoying little red light on it. So again, for people who are interested, as you may kind of already figure, I do private consultations. And if you want to schedule something with me, and you can get a 10% discount using the discount code I'm going to type into the window now. And that discount code is applicable at the link that I'm going to type into the window next. Okay, so somebody came on and said, what? What? Indeed, what? Okay, you have to be a little clearer. I don't know what you mean by what, right? So if you let me know what you mean by what, I might be able to answer. Okay? All right. So anybody with any general astrological questions, not questions about your own horoscope, right? And if you want to, hey, I will mention to you, I also offer something called Super Chat here, which is if you like what I'm doing here and you would like to donate, you can do so by just simply clicking that dollar symbol at the bottom if you don't necessarily wish to schedule a consultation. But scheduling a consultation would actually be better because I think you'll get more about it. And I have something very special to tell you about webinar courses here in just a little bit. How do we convince others that astrology works? You have to give them an experience of astrology. That's the only way you can convince people that astrology works, right? Because everything else you try to tell them about how it works is likely going to come across to them as seeming, well, a little bit foofy, right? And so they're not really going to get it. So you have to give them an experience. What are combinations in chart for theft or burglary or loss of money? Well, there can be things with the second lord and the eighth lord. Eighth lord can generally tend to bring things like that. But you know what? The thing is with everything in astrology, you need to see confluence. You need to see several different things that are pointing in the same direction, not just one isolated thing, right? You may want to see something with the person's Nati Karaka and equally the person's second lord or Jupiter or something relating to finances and the eighth lord all involved. And the person would have to be in the Dasha period, of course, when all of that is getting activated. And that can be a potential, right? But, you know, at the same time, again, you want to see a lot of different things, okay? Any other questions people may want to put in the chat window, please just put it down below. And I will endeavor to answer to the utmost of my capacity. I'm probably not going to stay on here a long time tonight because as you can hear, my throat's a little bit challenged right now because I've been working and equally getting over a cold, and it just kind of makes it a little bit. By the way, happy holidays, everybody. I hope your holiday season's going well. Not sure if I can answer, but how should you work with Saturn on the ascendant? A lot of that depends upon what Saturn rules, right? Saturn on the ascendant, it's going to make you become very disciplined. That's one thing, yeah. But, you know, a lot of this you have to understand. Here's something that I get into with a lot of people that are just learning astrology is the confusion that people have between what is inherent in the natal chart, in other words, the potential of the chart, and when that gets activated. And people get confused about that because they'll always tend to focus on, like, they'll be focusing on the person's Mars or the person's Jupiter, and the person will be in Saturn Dasha. And it's not necessarily that you don't want to focus on those things because those are the inherent things in the person's horoscope. And so you do want to focus on that. But you always want to focus on what's coming to the surface at that particular moment in time. So in terms of Saturn on the ascendant, that's going to become most prominent, obviously, during your Saturn Dasha, or dependent upon where your ascendant is, whoever the lord of your ascendant is, okay? Does the Dara Karaka show what you love to do? Dara Karaka shows other, okay? Most often it shows spouse. I've seen rare occasions it showing it dealing with the public. I've seen rare occasions it showing foreign countries and things like that. So it can show on a certain level what you love, right? but not necessarily. You may find that that's somehow connected to your 3rd and your 7th and your 11th as well in your chart. Sometimes it can show that, but it won't show it every single time is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so I'm seeing a few more questions here, and please do keep those questions coming. And if you enjoy this and you want to give back to the cause, there's a little dollar symbol above, and you can give to Super Chat. In addition to that, between now and 11 p.m. London time, this coming Thursday, the 19th of December, if you schedule a consultation, you can get a 10% discount using the discount code that I'm going to type in the chat window next, which is knowledge in all uppercase letters. I have consultations that range everywhere from like a 1-question consultation for $80, and with the discount that would be $72, all the way up to my coaching packages. So I have something for pretty much every single budget, and all of those are available at a 10% discount. Another brief bit of information for you, and then we'll get back to some of your questions. If you are interested in taking some of my webinar courses, generally my webinar courses are available for registration either by trimester or semester or payment in full, and you can always register for the trimester option, which is quite often under like $200 for a trimester of a course. Most of the courses are like sometimes generally between 22 and 44 weeks long. But if you register in full for certain courses, which I'm going to talk to you about next, you also get the free complimentary video course that goes with that. So for instance, I have a course starting in January, which is Rahu and Ketu, the nodes through the nakshatras, which focuses on the nakshatras that Rahu and Ketu are in, what that means, how to work with that, how to understand the impact either on yourself or the individual whose chart you're reading. So if you register in full for that course, you get for free my Esoteric and Therapeutic Secrets of the Nakshatras video course, which is a $299 value, absolutely free. Also, I've got a Jaimini Level 2 webinar course, which starts in March. If you register in full for that, you get the Jaimini Level 1 video course, which is a $400 value, absolutely free. My Concrete Prediction with Trigger Transits course starts on the 25th of January. If you register for that in full, you get the Concrete Prediction Level 1 with Vimshottari Dasha for free, and you also get the Concrete Prediction Level 2 with Jaimini Rashi Dashas absolutely free, right? So that's how that works for those particular select courses. Oh, and the Predictive and Therapeutic Nakshatra Techniques course, which starts in March. If you purchase that in full or register in full for that, you get the Esoteric and Therapeutic Secrets of the Nakshatras video course absolutely free. And if you can only register by trimester or semester, you do get a discount on those video courses of 15% off, right? So I'm going to put in the link to my webinar courses page for those of you who might be interested, and those of you who aren't interested, well, I'll be done here in just a moment. Okay, there we go. All right, so how are 2020 transits affecting us? I don't know, because I don't know your horoscope, right? So I don't really know how to tell you that, right? I think what you mean is what transits are happening in 2020 and what impact are they likely to have. I generally take things a little bit at a time, right? Because, you know, number one, if you can understand, I'm doing consultations most of the week, and I have like about 10 clients a week, sometimes up to like, you know, sometimes more. And I generally, when I'm in full course swing, I'm generally teaching 5 webinar courses a day. And I try to do YouTube videos, and I try to update my website, and I'm my own secretary. So I'm not always looking super, super far ahead. I'm generally taking transits a little bit at a time and looking a little bit ahead so I can give you information on that. So the best tidbit of information I have for you in that particular capacity is to keep your eyes on my YouTube channel, and you'll see the ones that are coming. Okay, look. If you want to, there's a solar eclipse next week. There's a solar eclipse video on my YouTube channel, as well as a video about the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, because that's pretty powerful. Even though I do Vedic astrology, I'm talking about that conjunction because it's a really, really, really powerful one, right? Okay, let's see what else we've got here. My Dharakaraka is my Lagna Lord. I'm confused by it. I don't know if you're aware of what you're saying, right? So the Dara Karaka is the other, right? And your Dara Karaka, or the other, is your Lagna Lord. And you're confused about your Dara Karaka. And I bet you're probably confused about your Lagna Lord too. So that's because your Dara Karaka is your Lagna Lord. Makes sense, right? So figure yourself out and you'll figure your Dara Karaka out. Figure your Dara Karaka out and you'll figure yourself out. That's how to do that. Okay, so let's see what else we've got here. Okay, so everybody, I just want to be clear. So I'm going to read, and hey, please be aware, I'm not trying to single you out. It's just that what you're saying is a good example of the questions I'm likely going to avoid. So you said, what if someone has 9th house Libra, Venus Dasha coming up, but also Ashtama Shani, 8th house Saturn transit due to Cancer moon? The reason I tend to stay away from those questions is because they're all Dasha dependent. And I also need to look at the rest of your horoscope. In addition to that, I do this professionally. So, you know, number one, whilst I know people like to get things for free, and I do give people a lot of stuff for free, like everywhere from transit videos to astrological techniques and all sorts of stuff like that. I got a family to feed. So I'm not going to give away a lot of free chart reading on the spot and stuff like that, because number one, it's not that accurate because I'm not looking at your horoscope. Number two, I also do this professionally. But, you may have a shift in philosophy or a shift in beliefs. That's just, shift in values. That's just simple stuff, though, really. You need to if you're looking for something more precise, you need to invest in an astrological consultation, regardless of whether that's with me or not. Right? And if you want to invest in an astrological consultation with me, there is a 10% discount that is in effect between now and this coming Thursday, the 19th of December, at the link that I'm typing into the window now. And if you use the discount code, which I'm typing into the window, that will give you the 10% discount. Okay, so let's see what else we've got next here. Do I offer career consultation? Yes, here's how you approach things like that on my website, right? I have simplified my services page a little bit recently. I have something called an astrological session, astrology session level 1 rather, and astrology session level 2. Those are general consultations that can be used for anything you want to use them for. The astrology session level 1 is an hour. The astrology session level 2 is 90 minutes. Generally, with the astrology session level 1, you can handle about 3 questions, dependent upon the level of research that's needed, give or take a few, but it's an hour in length. The 90-minute consultation, the level 2, you can handle somewhere around 4 to 5 questions, dependent upon what the person's asking. There are some things I look into for people, like if a person's going, what should I do for a career? That takes a lot of research on my part, but I have a really accurate technique for that. And so, that can generally take a large part of the consultation for the individual. Okay, but I do offer that. If you are just looking for a quick half-hour consultation, that is also available. Those are $95, but I generally would recommend approaching it from the hour-long consultation, because you'll probably find yourself getting more out of it. Generally, with the half-hour consultations, I find we're just getting in and then we're wrapping it up again. So I would recommend that. So the link is in my chat, in the chat window, as well as the discount code if you'd like to take advantage of that. Okay, let's see. To me, it seems that people who have got Moon in Capricorn, which I consider a hard aspect, does not feel so heavily Saturn's return over Moon. Does it make sense? No, because I have Moon in Capricorn, and so I definitely feel it, right? So, but I think it depends on the individual, But that being the case, I'm also a Capricorn ascendant. I'm not giving too much of my chart away, but I'm friends with Saturn. I get along with Saturn well. Okay. Does that mean your other is the same like you? It can mean that. It may mean your other is like the planet that is your Dara Karaka, right? And so it would mean, that the other one's like you too. Okay, the other one is going to be like you when you're in action doing something, okay? Yeah, so I see what you're saying. So you're going to go for people who are like really powerful. Yeah. Okay. So any other questions people might have, please put them in the chat window. So just a reminder, I'll say it again. If you you can purchase, or I should say register for the Rahu and Ketu through the Nakshatras by trimester, and you get the Esoteric Nakshatra Secrets at a 15% discount if you want it. But if you register in full, you get that like for absolutely free. And it's the same with a few other webinar courses, the Concrete Predictions with Trigger Transits, that also starts in January. So 2 courses that start in January. And if you register in full for either of those courses, you get a free video course. And with the Concrete Prediction with Trigger Transits course, you actually get 2 video courses with that one, right? So if you're interested in that, here's the link. And if you can't register in full, I really suggest registering by trimester. There's going to be a lot that's shared on this course that you're not going to find on people's YouTube videos, right? Because it's just not out there. Okay. Let's see what else we've got here. What is the difference between Dara, Karaka, and the 7th Lord then? That's a good question, right? Here's a good way to understand it, and I'm going to hope that it makes sense, right? A Karaka is a producer of something. So you can think of that as the potential of something, right? And so it's still going to be that thing, right? Like if your Dara Karaka is Jupiter, your spouse or your relationship people are going to be like Jupiter for the most part. That's that spouse in potential, okay? The 7th house itself, that's the actual created relationship partner or spouse. The 7th house Lord is that spouse in action, how they act. And the pada for your 7th house, if you know how to find the pada, and I'm not talking about nakshatra padas, I'm talking about Jaimini padas. The pada for your 7th house represents the eventuality of your spouse. So if you know like a Karaka and the house and the Lord of the house and the pada for the house, you can give a general summary about a person's entire life in that particular area, right? On a general level, okay? Pardon me. Any other questions people might have, please do feel free to type it into the chat window. I know it's a little bit quiet here tonight, meaning in terms of people who are here. It's the holidays. I generally gave pretty short notice in terms of doing this tonight. Pardon me for having a drink. My throat's getting a bit raw. I almost dribbled. That would have been fun, wouldn't it? Right? It would have been messy too. So let's see any other questions people might have. Please feel free to type them in the chat window. Okay. So again, while it's quiet, and a good way to get me to not shamelessly self-promote is to put loads of questions in that chat window, because when you're not putting loads of questions in the chat window, then I'm going to blatantly self-promote. So again, until this coming Thursday at 11 p.m. London time, that always gets people to put a question in the chat window, by the way. Until this coming Thursday at 11 p.m. London time, all consultations are available at a 10% discount. That also includes my coaching packages too. And for those, because they're packages of consultations, you're actually getting a really good deal on those, right? But even if you're just scheduling a 1-question consultation, that also has a discount using the discount code KNOWLEDGE, which I just typed into the chat window. Okay, let's see what else we've got here. Okay, so Venus, here are some things about Venus. Jaimini's Upadesha Sutras gives a lot of really valuable information about the planets and the types of people they tend to represent. So Jaimini says about Venus that Venus is a poet, eloquent, and wise as a sage, knowing prophecy. So if your Dara Karaka is Venus, then your spouse is going to perhaps be into luxury, unless your Dara Karaka is debilitated. If your Dara Karaka is Venus, the person may be poetic, right? The person may have good intuition. They may be an astrologer, perhaps. The other things have to confirm these things. They're generally going to be someone who likes to enjoy the good things of life, right? Venus, interestingly enough, is your sense of taste. So if you understand the sense of taste has a connection to a person being a poet, because what does a poet do? A poet gives words to make a person have an experience of something or to taste something, right? So let's see what else we've got. I don't really have a need to work with intercepted houses due to what I'm working with. So I'm not really going to go into depth with that here. Okay. So anybody else with any other questions, please just feel free to type them in the chat window. Hey, somebody gave me a thumbs up here. Thank you for giving me a thumbs up. And those of you who are here, if you want to make a small donation to kind of keep the ball rolling and show your appreciation for astrology, and you don't have to, there's a little dollar symbol at the bottom where you can show your support by making a donation. Okay. How would I interpret a 4-planet conjunction in the Navamsha chart if I read it that way? It depends on the planets, right? So here's a good rule of thumb in terms of understanding things. I'm kind of not really answering your question in that particular way because those 4 planets in the Navamsha chart it's going to depend on the houses they're associated with. There's going to be a lot of focus on that particular sign and that particular house and whatever house is directly opposite, right? But I can't really answer that in full based upon the information you're giving me. But here's something to understand, right? If you have planets that join Saturn, and Saturn is in any other dignity other than being in its own house or Mula Trikona or exalted, Saturn is going to create separation from whatever that planet indicates. And it's going to create separation from its houses. And it will do that during Saturn's dasha. And it can also do it during the dasha of the planet that joins Saturn, right? Okay, so same with the sun. Sun does that too. Sun creates separation unless it's exalted, own house, or Mula Trikona. And the sun creates separation because it's inspired by whatever is in Leo. Whatever house that is about, the sun will sacrifice those other planets for the sake of what's in Leo. Okay, Rahu does the same thing, right? Jupiter and Mercury can manifest things that they join, right? If their dignity is better than neutral. If their dignity is in an enemy sign, great enemy sign, or debilitated, the person's going to feel frustrated as they're trying to manifest those things, right? Those are just some simple rules of thumb in terms of when you're seeing planetary conjunctions. What's my favorite nakshatra? It depends on which week you're talking to me in, right? I like talking about Shravana nakshatra. That fascinates me a lot. Also, would that person most likely gravitate towards that area? They can, but I mean, it's a little more involved than that. Yeah. In conjunctions, does the highest planet take more charge? No, not necessarily. It's a thing of planetary strength and what dasha the person's in. That's the whole thing, and that's what I was talking about earlier, is people get confused about potential in the chart versus when it gets activated, right? So like number one, if you have planets conjuncting each other, like let's say you've got Saturn conjuncting Mercury and Saturn's at a higher degree, Saturn's not necessarily going to take more charge if you're in Mercury dasha and Mercury is exalted and it's, really strong. It's not going to work that way, right? So you can't, when we're first learning astrology, it's tempting to gravitate towards those really simple concepts. And you very well should gravitate towards those simple concepts because they'll help you to learn the more complex concepts later on. But a good thing to recognize in the early stages of your learning is that it's seldom just those 1 or 2 planet combinations. And it's seldom just yogas. And it's seldom just planetary dignity. It's quite often a combination of Shadbala, of Baladyavastas, Jagradadyavastas, Lajatadyavastas, dependent upon what you work with, Jaimini dashas, and putting all those things together in order to look at the complexity of the human consciousness that you're dealing with and to make an assessment based upon that. And that's what a good reading does, is it takes a little bit of all those factors, but it doesn't bog the individual down in a bunch of the technical details, okay? But for those of you who do like the technical details, I do offer a consultation called the Know Your Horoscope consultation, where I can take you on a tour of your chart, point out certain like prominent details that I see, tell you what I think it's kind of all about, and then also give you a general reading. And again, like all the other consultations, that's available at a 10% discount through my astrological services page, which is linked here. And to take advantage of that 10% discount between now and this coming Thursday at 11 p.m. London time, you need to enter the discount code KNOWLEDGE, which I've just entered here. Okay, let's see what else we've got here. We don't have any other questions. I don't understand separation. Okay, let's explain separation, right? Let's say you've got Saturn joining your seventh lord, or Saturn joining your Darakaraka, and you're in your Saturn dasha, and Saturn's in an enemy sign, and Saturn's joining your Darakaraka. Well, during your Saturn dasha, and let's say Jupiter's your Darakaraka, during your Saturn dasha, Saturn can cause some problems with your spouse because it's there with your Darakaraka, right? That's what I mean by separation. It can cause separation from it. It may not make your marriage fall apart or your relationship fall apart, but it can create some problems. There are other things you have to look at in order to determine those things, right? So let's say Saturn is there with Jupiter, and especially if you're in Saturn-Jupiter dasha, that's when it's going to get probably at its worst, right? That's what I mean by separation, okay? And these are things that I teach on my concrete prediction level 1 and level 2 course. Those are video courses, and I'm teaching the third level in that, which is on trigger transits. You don't have to take the other two to take the trigger transits course, but they are helpful, which is why I'm kind of packaging them together for people who register in full. Okay, please feel free to ask some other questions, everybody. I know there's not a lot of you here because it's the holiday season and people want to go like gorge themselves and go spend every last penny that they have and put themselves in debt for the next year. So, but you can put yourself in debt for me. No, I'm only kidding, right? I wouldn't have you put yourself in debt for me. I'm just joking. Okay. It separates, no, it can, well, so your question is, oh, so it separates from the planet it conjuncts. Yes, it will also separate from the planet that it Rashi aspects, if you know your Rashi aspects, okay? Not from the house Saturn is placed in. Yes, it can separate from that particular house too, unless that house is in Capricorn or Aquarius, at which point, because Saturn's in its own house, it's going to protect that house, right? Like if you're home and you're in your own home, you're going to protect your home, even if you're like, you know, not happy in your home. But if Saturn's debilitated, well, Saturn wouldn't be in his own house. So that's senseless, right? But if Saturn is debilitated, he's going to be Rashi aspecting Aquarius, right? And because he's Rashi aspecting Aquarius, he's going to try to protect Aquarius, but it's not going to work very well. But a planet either Rashi aspecting its own sign or placed in its own sign will do its best to hold that that sign and whatever's in it together. Okay, but it may separate if there are other planets there with Saturn, right? Well, Saturn's not going to separate if it's in its own house. It's actually going to strengthen those things, right? But it will still create some difficulty for those planets. It won't separate or create a potential for it to fall apart, but it can make it so the individual really has to focus on those planets. That's the best way to explain it. Okay. All right. I'm going to stick around for about another 5 minutes so I don't lose my voice. If you have any other questions that you want to ask, please feel free to type them into the chat window. Okay. And remember, my webinar courses are going to be at the following link that I'm going to put in the chat window. And a lot of those courses, if you register in full, you get a free video course. I think that I have there are two courses that don't have a free video course associated with them. One is the Magic of House Combinations, that has no associated video course, and the Varshafala course has no associated video course too. Okay. So Stardust, what sign is your Saturn in? Would I say free will comes from Mars? It can. Yeah. It can also come from the sun too. The two Kshatriya planets. Okay. All right. So another minute or two until I see people are, going, oh, I don't have any more questions. If Dasha Lord is in first, how does it show in regards to the 7th house? I think what you're saying is, if you're like, say, for instance, if you're in Venus Dasha, and that Venus Dasha is in the, and Venus is in the first, right? You're in Venus Dasha and Venus is in the first. And let's say you've got, you're looking at the 7th house and you're wanting to know the impact that Venus is going to have on your 7th house. Well, yeah, that would become prominent at that time. I call that rotating the chart, like reading the chart from a different house or from a different karaka, but you can do that, right? If you want to read about your spouse, you can make your Dara Karaka the ascendant, or you can make your 7th house the ascendant. You can do a lot of accurate readings like that. That's why I always tell people, when they always do that thing that really bothers me, there are things that people do that bother me, and go, I want you to tell me if my spouse is cheating on me. Here's his birth time. Well, the first thing I'm going to say when people tell me that is, I can't look at your spouse's chart without their permission, because it's an energetic invasion of privacy. So I'm not going to do that. But I can look at him through your own chart, and that's okay because it's your chart. Okay. Let's see what I've got going on here. Your Saturn is in Virgo conjunct Mars. It's in the 2nd house. I was born in Saturn Mahadasha. So there were probably problems for you early on in life around your family. And there could have been some problems in relation to finances as well. And equally some difficulty with siblings, right? Hey, I do want to say to people, be a bit careful just doing quick readings for other people. And if you're wanting to, like, in terms of, and it's okay to do this, somebody saying, how was 2009? Whilst it's okay for you to ask the person that question, remember you're talking to a human being. So if you're going to say something about their horoscope, have empathy. Okay? Right. Somebody's also saying, is there any significance when two people's charts form exact trines together? It just means a lot of harmony between those two individuals is probably the easiest way to answer that. There can be more significance there, but I'd need to see the two horoscopes, okay? How are you supposed to get benefits from the 8th house Scorpio energy? Go deep. Go really deep. And just when you think you've gone deeply enough, go even deeper, right? Don't fear the Reaper. It's okay. Death is okay. Transformation's okay. Confront it. Be strong. You're getting a good dose of that right now, wherever Saturn is transiting in your chart, okay? Because Pluto and Saturn are conjuncting each other. Venus Ketu conjunction in Libra. How long such conjunction can cause restrictions? It depends on, like, if you're in Venus Dasha or Ketu Dasha, and it depends on, like, which other planets are active in terms of Antardashas. So I can't answer that, like, just like off the top of my head. I'd need to see, like, your horoscope, what Dasha period you're in, etc. Okay. So everybody, another minute or two, and I'm going to be wrapping it up. So if you have any last minute questions, now is the time to ask. Just a reminder, one last time, if you'd like to have a consultation with me, if you schedule between now and this coming Thursday at 11 p.m. London time at the link that I just typed into the chat window, And if you use the discount code, which I'm just now typing into the chat window, you get a 10% discount off of your consultation price. In addition to that, some of my webinar courses, like the Rahu and Ketu Nodes Through the Nakshatras course, and the Concrete Prediction with Trigger Transits, and the Jaimini Level 2 course, and the Predictive and Therapeutic Nakshatra Techniques course. If you register for any of those courses, again, between now and 11 p.m. London time this Thursday, if you register in full for one of those courses, I should stress, you get a video course for free. If you register at if you register for a trimester, or if you register for a semester, then you get the associated video course at a 15% discount. So that's all of my webinar courses have been typed into the chat window here. All right, let's see what we've got going on here with the last questions. The Aries would they'd get along at first, but the Aries would soon get tired of the Leo's ego on a certain level. Yeah, I have a lot of, yeah, I understand that energy. Planet in Shravana, can this cause an event to happen 3 times? Relates to houses, and it's related to Vamana Avatar. It can make it happen 3 times, but it may not every single time, right? That's the whole thing. All right. Somebody's saying, have I noticed people having the same Janma Nakshatra rulers more fond of each other? Not always, but they do spark each other. Okay. No problem. Happy to answer people's questions. All right. That's it for today, everybody. I'm kind of losing my voice and it's getting late here. Thanks for asking, how am I going to celebrate Christmas? Well, I'm going to spend it nicely and quietly with my son and play a lot of games with him, like Monopoly, right? I have Monopoly set up right over here, right? Okay. All right, let's see. Just a quick question, but does that speak to why you can't just make basic statements? Stardust, just a quick question, but that does speak to why you can't just make basic statements about astrology. Yeah, that's the whole thing, is you really need to see a person's horoscope. I just want to share this with everybody before I part company with you tonight. I know people who have been to astrologers who have done things that weren't really the best things, like, give the person information on when they're going to die, like unsolicited. And number one, astrology is never 100% accurate. So you're making a person freak out for absolutely nothing, right? So, don't do that, right? And I also see people who have done things like taken their communications with a client and post it on Facebook or YouTube. Even if you have the client's permission, you're giving a lot of personal details out about that client. And I think it's important that an astrologer has good chart side manner. So if I see that a person has perhaps some ego problems, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go, well, you may find occasionally that other people may view you, even though you don't intend for that to be that way, they may view you as being proud. I'm not going to come out and go, you've got an ego problem, because it's a little too jarring for the individual. You have to remember you're dealing with the human. So even if you're looking at a person's chart and you see something difficult in the chart, don't go, oh, when you reach the age of 20, your spouse is going to die, right? It's just not helpful. So I always tell people, if you're looking at somebody else's chart, recognize that there's never 100% accuracy in astrology, and don't say anything that, if you know you're going to be inaccurate, you're wanting that person to think, because it's going to make them focus on something that you said. So astrology chart is not just an astrological chart. It's a human being. Hey, just so you know, everybody, I'm going to say this politely. Don't come here and post your question 20 times. That will make me just ignore your question, because it's rude and it's inconsiderate of everybody else. So please don't do that. Okay. It's rude and it's not nice to other people. All right. So, just please don't do that. Okay. So thanks everybody for coming. I appreciate you being here. And Humanshu, I understand you didn't know, but at the same time, I'm not going to say what does Venus Nakshatra in Navamsha mean? Because number one, from my perspective, you always take the nakshatra that a planet is in the Rashi chart. Like if you've got Venus in Purva Falguni in your Rashi chart, if your Venus is in Aquarius in the Dashamsha chart, it's still in Purva Falguni in terms of how I work with it, because nakshatras should be more astronomically related, and the real astronomy in the horoscope happens in the Rashi chart. So that's not me saying other people who do other techniques are wrong or that's inaccurate. It's just me saying, well, I tend to like to work with nakshatras from more of an astronomical perspective. So first of all, I wouldn't answer that question from that perspective. And secondly, I need to see like the Baladi avastas of your Venus in your Navamsha chart. I need to know its dignity. I need to know so many different things that I'm not going to like be able to tell you with any degree of accuracy. And I take great pride in my accuracy, right? So I don't want to sacrifice my like reputation with accuracy just to give you a quick assessment based on a planet in your horoscope, if you know what I mean. Because you can't really make an accurate assessment based upon just one thing in the horoscope. You need to see the entire horoscope. So I'm typing into the chat window one last time my astrological services page, where you get a discount of 10% if you schedule between now and 11 p.m. London time this coming Thursday, the 19th of December. And that's in the chat window now if you want to schedule with me. And then I can give you more information on your planet in a nakshatra in the Navamsha chart, or anything else that you might want to ask. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. I'll try to come back on sometime soon. Until then, please take care of yourself. Bye now.